before we get into this fucking episode, do me a favor. Right here, I'll wait. Just click subscribe. That's fucking it. If you're on your phone, turn it back this way and hit subscribe. That's all I want you to do. That's simple. Now back to the episode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our show. 3 Shots of Honesty. My name's Monique.
And I'm Travis, and thanks for joining us. Today, we have the long-awaited Steve Duby is here to talk to us. We're going to get some great stories out of Steve. We've been hyping Steve up for a while. The last couple of episodes, we've been talking about having Steve on. And he's finally here on this beautiful afternoon. So
Steve Duby in the building.
So we're happy to...
Finally
got him in. And he sounds good, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's got a voice
Steve
for this.
Duby.
He does, man. He sounds good.
Well, it's my side job. 1-800.
1-800. Steve's like, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
All right, so we got Steve here. As you guys know, we do 3 shots, 3 topics. We've got 3 topics that are specifically geared towards Steve today. The Steve Duby Saga is amazing. I've had we've known Steve for a long time. Steve's a good friend of ours, and he's got such a great story, full of entertainment, lessons, life, that we would be remiss in not having him here. So we're super stoked to have him. Steve, convicted of first-degree murder, did 27 years.
27 years in the state of California.
Okay, he's out. He's been out on parole. He's almost done on a 5-year parole stint, keeping his head clean, doing everything he's supposed to be doing.
Can we say that number one more time? 27?
27 years
27.
and 20 days.
20.
Not that he was counting, right? You weren't counting that whole time.
20.
Well, it was easy to keep track of. I got arrested July 1st, 1988. Got out July 20th, 2015.
Wow.
Beautiful. Now, you imagine that. I mean, and look at what a great guy Steve is. And people want to say, oh, and the system is broke.
I just want to say for the record, Steve Duby came over to our house to place an order for butter bread for our daughter.
He did.
That's what kind of guy Steve Duby is.
Fat man's got to eat, you know.
He's got to eat. So before we get into a quick little backstory, Steve, tell us what got you where you're at and things have come from it, and then we'll go into the first shot.
From the beginning, when I first went to prison?
Yeah, well, I mean, how did you get there? You know, in however you want to do it, man. You don't have to delve as deep as you want to.
All right. Well, you know, I mean, I just made some pretty bad decisions. I was 27 years old. I had been going through quite a bit through a marriage. Left Arizona and went to California and got tied up with the wrong folks. Developed quite the drug habit and just made a lot of bad decisions, bad people, and ended up wanting to go and kind of just check a guy, you know, give him a little check, and things escalated, and a friend of mine shot him, and because I didn't report it or try to render any help to the victim, I ended up going down for an accomplice, and because we had taken, and we actually went to his house where he was staying, and took him from the house forcefully, you know. So it was it ended up, in the end, it was a kidnap execution style murder, and after their investigation, they figured out that I hadn't actually gone there to commit a murder, but just was there to beat the shit out of him.
Right.
And because of my crime partner being a fool and bragging about it, they knew the truth, who did what and how it happened, like they were there. So,
Can I ask you, what did he do to make you guys want to shake him down?
you know, there were several things. He and I had been roommates for a while. I came home. I was driving truck cross country. I came home one time, and there were 2 girls sitting in my living room, half dressed. And I had a friend with me, just an acquaintance, just a good friend. It was female. I just got back into town after being gone for about 10 days. And we walked through the living room, and I saw the girls. We went in my bedroom, going to drink some beers, probably do some lines or something. And she...
Easy Saturday night.
It's just it's your typical night, you know what I mean? I just got back in town from doing, you know, because I drove truck cross country.
Right. Party.
And this girl, her name was Elizabeth, and she's like, hey, man, do you know those chicks? And I'm like, no. And she goes, dude, they're like 15 fucking years old. And I said, what? And I was 27. My roommate was 21. And where I was at was up in the high desert in California, Victorville, Hesperia, and it's tweaker central.
Yeah.
You know, and meth heads, they don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If a girl's willing to give up that puss,
They're going to take
a couple
it down.
of lines, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, they thought it was all good. Me, personally, I had much higher fucking morals than that. And I know that if I was a father and my 15-year-old daughter was out doing lines and fucking some dude, I'd
Yeah, you'd have a problem with that.
shit would fucking go down.
Yeah.
So,
Rightfully
yeah, you know, I mean, that was the first incident. I ran him out, kicked the shit out of him, and I moved out. And then I was buying this GTO from a dude. Dude was giving me a great deal. He was a tweaker. You know, papers were clean on the car. And I went to go pick up the car and already told him, dude, I'll be right back. I'm going to run to the bank, get some cash. I'll be back. I got an 8-ball. I got, you know, just gave him. And went to the bank, went to his house. Fucking car's gone. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? He's like, oh, so-and-so was just here, man, and he bought the car. I said, what?
What?
And he goes, yeah, he told me you didn't want it anymore. And I'm like, this motherfucker. And it was a badass. It was
Yeah,
like,
that alone, let's beat somebody's ass. Fucking GTO, come on.
brother was a fucking, you know, mid-70s goat. And it was badass.
fucking A.
And so, you know, that was the second thing. Well, at the time I was separated from my wife. And she was here in Arizona, down in Coolidge. She was a real treat. But that's a whole fucking other story. You know, and we were separated, and we got back together after 6 months. And so I came here, picked her up, took her back to California to go get my shit. And lo and behold, through some bullshit, she happened to go to a friend's house to shower, get cleaned up for the ride home while I went and got my stuff. And I didn't want to take her to some of the people's houses I had to go do what I had to do. And sure enough, this piece of shit was at this guy's house, and he ran shit down to her like, oh, yeah, your old man's a piece of shit. He's been fucking all these women. He's been running around with some fucking scooter tramps. He's slamming dope, doing this, doing that. And so when I came back, she tore into me, you know, chewed me into an asshole, told me, fuck you, I'm gone. Mm-hmm. She had 2 daughters, and I loved them. You know, they were my stepdaughters, you know.
Yeah, no, I can identify with
just
that.
like fucking my own, you know. And when she told me that, I was like, what? And she told me what happened. I was like, this motherfucker.
Going
You know
down.
what I mean?
He
So
fucked you over on the car. Now he's fucking up your family life. Yeah.
It's just an accumulation.
It
of
just
things.
shit
Yeah.
kept stacking, and this
Yeah.
motherfucker didn't learn. And,
Right.
You know, and I say that, and honestly,
Looking back on
I
it.
feel bad
Yeah.
that, you know, that I was part of taking a man's life. That's not my job. That's
Yeah.
not my duty.
Right.
I honestly...
Well, you didn't think it was going to happen.
Right. Well,
Yeah, that
I-
was out of your control.
Exactly. And I had honestly already ran through my head, you know what, fuck it, I can do 5, 6, 8, 10 years if I have to, but I'm going to beat this motherfucker
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
And I'm going to do some great bodily injury.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I
Yeah.
come to terms with that.
Right.
So I, after she left and took a bus back home to Arizona, I was on the hunt, hunting him down. And I went to a friend's house, friend, and I use the term very loosely.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's up, bro? And I told him, and he's like, fuck it, I'll go with you. I'm like, no, I got this. I should have stuck to my guns and been like, no, I don't need you. I'm going to handle this, you know. But I let him roll with me. And once we had taken him and taken him from the place he was staying, it was all scare tactic, take him out to the desert. They lived in the desert, so it was like we went a quarter mile down the road. Got him out of the car, and I confronted him. And my partner had put handcuffs and everything on him. We went full bore, you know. And the
I'm
guys,
scared listening to it.
well, you know,
This
This makes me want to take a shot, guys. Let's take a shot.
You're jumping in. This is
wanna-
like 4
wanna
shots.
calm-
And listen,
calm the nerves
Steve
a
was
little.
drinking Big Red. He's still
Big Red,
Yeah,
So
I'm
go
gonna
easy
show
on him.
clean and sober.
Big Red
That's
we
how
got
it is.
for
Clean sober.
Steve
So,
Duby.
so
Okay.
if Doobie's PO's watching,
And then if you
just
see
soda.
if you see this little like white stuff on your sweater, tell everybody what you just did right now.
I just cut this stool I'm sitting on 4 inches lower.
I was feeling a little intimidated. So yeah.
I was sitting really high and it wasn't working out, so I just went out in the garage and I cut it down with a circular saw because why not? Fuck it. Okay, so you're out there, you're in the desert, homeboy's handcuffed, you're confronting him. What happens next?
Well, I told my crime partner, and I told him to take the cuffs off him. So he took the cuffs off him. I laid into him, and I kept telling, and I can't remember everything I said. Of course, it's been over 30 years ago. So I told him he was a piece of shit, and this motherfucker looked me straight in the eye and told me, "No, fuck you, you're the piece of shit," and spit in my face.
Wow.
So I dropped him.
Oh,
I just hauled back and dropped him one shot, and he went down. I kicked him a couple times, was a little amped up, and I walked away.
Was that a shot to the face?
I knocked him out with one shot.
Damn.
And just so you know, Steve's sitting down. Steve, what? You're 6'4"?
No, I'm 6'1".
He's a big motherfucker.
Show us the hands. Show us the hands. Those are big hands.
Steve's a big motherfucker. Yeah. Okay, so you're walking away. He's on the ground.
And that's when my crimey went over and shot him 3 times in the back of the head. And it was a reality check. I'm like, what the fuck, And
Can I get a little graphic and what did it look like?
I didn't actually even see or look at, because I had walked it over and got in the car, and that's when I heard the shots. Mm-hmm. And I was just lighting up a cigarette, and I heard them, and it was one of those things like, did I just fucking hear what I think I
God damn
heard?
it. Yeah.
And he jumps in the car, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? He goes, he's the piece of shit. He deserved to die. Oh. I'm like, motherfucker.
Wow.
So then at that point, you're like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Well, yeah, here's this guy in the desert, in his underwear, shot, and at that point, I knew I was fucked. I knew, and I regret it. I'm not trying to even make it sound like it was something cool. It was a fucked up part of my life.
Right.
And, this fucking idiot just took us way over the top.
Right.
And so I dumped him off and got rid of him, dropped him at home, and he got arrested like a week later. And about a week after he got arrested, I got arrested. So from the time of the crime, it had been 2 weeks. And I got hauled in. I mean, they came down on me. A friend of mine, a friend loosely again, held me at gunpoint, called the cops. Yeah. And the gun he had, I happened to have sold him because back then in Arizona, I was clean. I had a clean record when I lived here. So I had this .44 Magnum, the Ruger Super Blackhawk.
Yeah, it's like a dirty hairy gun.
Those fucking things I slung. And it had a hair trigger.
Yeah.
And I had sold it to him because I had several guns, because back then you just walk in, show them your license, buy it, load it, boom, holster it, and you're out the door. So he had held me at gunpoint with this thing, and he was like 10 feet away. So it was like, I'm like, dude, just fucking relax, please.
Did you think about fleeing the country or maybe trying to hide the body or?
Well, going back to the scene of the crime never even entered my mind, because I at that point, I knew it was just a matter of time. I was going to get cracked. And I was like, fuck it, You make stupid decisions, you got to deal with the consequences. I've always dealt with consequences, all my decisions. And, I pretty much resigned myself to the fact that I was going to go away for a long time.
Did you eat any good meals before? Do anything that you're like, fuck, I got to get this out before?
Elizabeth, Susan,
He was eating all the meals.
Oh, you're talking about digestible food.
That's okay. That's what I'm talking about.
Because when you're going down for a long time, you need to be going down on some other.
Get it?
All right, so awesome. So we get the just what's going on through the next. And what we're going to do is this is going to be episode this is episode number 15 technically. Mm-hmm. But we're going to have different parts of this because there's no way we can get through it because we have so much. In fact, On one of the ones coming up, Steve's going to come back over and we're going to make NASCAR nachos right here.
You want some prison style NASCAR
we're
nachos?
yeah,
You
we're
haven't
gonna make
forgot
some-
about
Going
that, have
prison
you?
food.
We're going to do some prison food. So we're going to just kind of digest this 3 questions at a time to get through it because he has so much to talk about and I don't want to miss any of it. So in efforts to try to like make it sure that everybody that's listening, everything I know about Steve and I learned new stuff. I just learned something new today about Steve. That's fucking awesome.
What did you learn?
Are you talking about my rockers story?
I am talking about your rocker story. That's for a whole nother fucking. That's amazing. I learn new things about Steve every time I see him, and I've known Steve for a long time. So I don't want anybody to miss out on the magical creature that is Steve Duby because he's got just so much stories to tell.
You need some more? I got you.
So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pour some more Big Red for Steve, and then
Big
we're gonna get to topic number 1, shot number 1. You had to have a shot because you were tensed up.
I was nervous.
Well,
My stomach was hurting a little bit earlier too, and honestly,
I told her to take a pre-pod poop, and she wouldn't do it.
no, that shot really helped. That Jack Daniels killed every.
Thank
every
you.
time. You're
Pre-pod
welcome.
poop. I'm gonna hashtag that right
Stop.
here. All right, so we're gonna go shot number 1, topic number 1, and you have our questions, right? Money to get to Steve with.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I'm not drinking this as a shot.
No, that's fine.
You should.
We'll have to do a pre-pod piss.
PPP.
Oh God.
There we go.
All right. So, what is our first topic with Steve?
So you spent a lot of time behind bars, 27 years.
And 20 days.
And 20 days.
Don't forget those. He earned them.
Those days mean everything. So, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you have learned? Having spent all that time away from society, like what would be your biggest lesson that you could take away from all that time that you were gone?
I think I understand what you're saying. I was a fucked up judge of character. I picked shitty women, shitty friends, and I learned really that family was the most important part, of my life. And those are the people that you're always disappointing, I never fucked my mom and my stepdad over. I never did anything scandalous, but not listening and taking into account that once you're gone, you miss out on a lot of shit. And in 27 years and 20 days, you get to reflect a lot, and
Right.
when you're sitting in prison and you make that phone call home and you're like, well, your grandmother passed away yesterday. Those are things, it just makes you feel that big because you're like, fuck, I should be there,
Right. And you're helpless at that point.
You're not going,
Yeah.
They have a thing in California that if a family member dies, you can actually pay and they'll transport you. But you got to pay for the wages of the guards that are going to take you.
Wow.
But with a case like mine, they're like, no, fuck you. We're not taking you anywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
If
you're
you
just
were in
too
a
high
serious-
risk.
Yeah, you're in a serious.
Yeah.
And you did the majority of your time at Corcoran, correct?
Well, I did Corcoran, and then I went to a place in Blythe, Ironwood.
Okay.
But Corcoran is where I started out. They sent me to a really fucking fine establishment to begin. Just to, let me know who's the boss.
Kind of break you down a little bit, maybe. Yeah.
Try to break you down.
Yeah.
It didn't really work, but you got to stay strong in your head. But your question is plain and simple. You just learn that I put other things ahead of what's most important, and that's family. Your family. Everybody fucking left me. Everybody turned their back on me because I was a fucking murderer. Plain and simple. That's what went through everybody's heads.
Right.
Family members, uncles, even my cousin, who's my best friend now. And she couldn't believe that I would be part of that. We grew up together, and it was probably 15 years before we got back in touch. And once she learned the story and what really happened and why, and then the changes I made in prison, she was back on board and she had my back.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And while you were in prison, how many degrees did you get?
5.
Okay, you get 5 degrees in prison.
Yeah.
got educated, all kinds of.
What were the degrees?
Yep.
I got 2 in business. I have 1 in social behavioral sciences, 1 in math and science, 1 in general studies, and then I'm a certified ICAR, auto body specialist, certified addiction treatment counselor, and certified suicide crisis counselor. Oh, and Braille. I can transcribe Braille.
How cool is that? That's pretty neat.
Way fucking
Sometimes
cool.
I read by stretch marks, like bro, Cheez-Its.
There you go. There you go.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're gonna move on to shot number 2.
I told you I should have wrote these topics down.
I told you to.
No, you didn't. You didn't do it.
Whatever you come up with, don't even worry about it.
And like I said, we're just barely scratching the surface of this because, like I said, this is a funny podcast and we like to fuck around and everything like that. Don't get me wrong. But you can learn a lot from what Steve's got going on here. And he's such a fucking nice guy. I mean...
Well, thank you.
I mean, literally, dude, you're family to us and you know that. And Steve was laid up a little while ago. We went and visited in the hospital. I mean, he's family to us. We love Steve. And
Well, I also want to ask you this question. I read this book about violence being like a currency whenever you're in jail or prison or behind bars. Would you say that that's pretty, like, that was, a currency where you could use that to your advantage or...
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. From the minute I hit the yard, I had fucking the utmost respect from most because they're like, they're going to approach you and ask you, excuse me. And in California, you have, for whites, you have the wood pile, you got peckerwoods, you got fucking white crips in there, you got white bloods, and you have all these different skinheads. And I was just part of the wood pile. So when they came up to me when I first walked the yard of Corcoran, guy asked me, he's like, "Hey, what's up, Wood? Where are you from?" And I told him, "San Bernardino. I'm from the IE." And he's like, "Well, what are you in for, homie?" I was like, "I'm in for murder. What's up, brother? What the fuck are you in for?"
that's a
You went
statement.
hard.
And right then,
right there.
Way hard.
boom, that's it.
Yeah.
End of story. And
Yeah.
I break out my paperwork, show him, because your paperwork will show if you have any sex crimes or anything, rape, child molestation, child abuse, whatever, if you're a snitch, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And I was clean. And when I handed him my paperwork, I go, "What's up, bro? Where's your shit?" Mm-hmm. You want to walk up on me and ask me questions. Who the fuck are you?
Right.
Needless to say, come to find out, he was one of the boys running the yard. Mm-hmm. But, fuck that. I had automatic respect.
That's cool. Yeah, Travis always says you have to find the biggest motherfucker, fuck him in the ass, and then you get mad respect, right? Is that something that...
I've said, I think that's a county thing more than...
Well, I got to tell you,
I do that when I get home. I find you.
I was going to say, bro.
I fuck you in the ass, and then I'm like, what now? What do you need to see now?
You knew it.
Is there some fucking role playing going on?
Like doing anal, let's be honest.
Is there some role playing shit, like a fantasy?
No. I'm afraid because I actually got almost butt raped by a convict when I was like 19 years old, when I was tattooing, and this guy that came to work for us named Gene, he had just got out, and the motherfucker was yoked out. He'd been fucking lifting water garbage bags for fucking 15 years. And I was always a big boy. And he just he picked me up upside down, dumped me out of my pants, and had me in a fucking neck lock like this. And he's like, "Where do you want my kids? On your back or down your throat?" And I was just like, "I'm going to get pregnant." I had nothing I could do about it. So
don't pull out.
I'll just take it. I'm good. If you can pick me up in the air and dump me out of my pants, you can have it. You earned it.
See, and I'm not sure how Arizona works. I have been out to Lewis. I did a program called Breaking Barriers, and I got approved to go to Lewis. The warden fucking loved me. And I went in and I taught this, it's AVP. It's fucking Alternatives to Violence program. So I was going into Lewis on the fucking yard, sitting down with the fucking convicts and teaching them this class.
How cool is that? It's kind of full circle.
And those dudes were blown away
Yeah.
because I walk in looking like some fucking regular Joe, and then I bust up out of my shit and got a T-shirt on, and they're like looking at my ink like, motherfucker, that's prison ink. And I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, you're fucking right, it is. Well, how much time do you do? I tell them 27. Most dudes are like months. I'm like, no, motherfucker, years.
Years.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take this
Whoa,
shot,
shit.
guys.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
So shot
Is this
number
shot-
2.
is this 2? All right.
This is shot 2.
I
Topic
think it's
number
really
2.
like 4, but whatever.
3. I mean, we were drinking earlier today.
Not me.
We were drinking.
Big red.
We were drinking earlier.
Okay, so what do you got for topic number 2?
So you were in Corcoran County, right?
No,
And so
it's Corcoran. It's actually California State Prison, Corcoran.
okay.
It's the city of Corcoran.
So we had talked earlier, and you were in prison with a couple of pretty famous people, right?
Yeah, which we learned were straight punks.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
I want to talk about Charles Manson.
He doesn't like that.
Let's talk about
He
him.
doesn't like it.
How do you really feel about him? What was your experience? What happened? Tell us everything.
Okay, just so you understand, Charlie was locked up in like a fucking special unit to where he's not around the regular general population. But my experience with him, I went to medical one day, and you got to be escorted over because you leave your yard, you go through a work change gate, and go walk over to the medical department. And as I'm walking up to these automatic fucking doors, like fries, the fucking door opens, and there's Charlie with these two fucking fully dressed fucking goon squad. They're got the fucking riot helmets and shit on, their batons out, and big motherfuckers too. Corcoran didn't play. If you were a Samoan, you were on the goon squad.
Automatic.
Yeah.
Big.
And so they got Charlie, and he's like fucking all of 5'1".
Really?
Yeah, he's
That's
a little short
little
motherfucker.
guy.
And I look at him, and I'm walking in, and they just fucking go off, and they're screaming at me to get the fuck against the wall, get the fuck against the wall. So I'm like, what the fuck? Because it all happened so quick. I really didn't even realize that's fucking Manson, I thought it was just some fucking little punk. So I get on the wall, and the fucking cops got me on the wall, and I look over, and as I'm looking over, Charlie's standing there because he's chained. And he's like, mad dogging me, and I'm, motherfucker, I will crush you. And I'm thinking, bitch, just because you're Charlie Manson, you ain't got no shit on me, so... I just wanted to fucking... Honestly, I wanted to take him by his fucking hair, rip his head off, and just shit down his neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Were you planning on killing him? Let's be honest.
No, I wasn't.
That way the guards were like, get against the wall. We know what the fuck you're doing, Steve
No.
Doobie. We fucking know.
Not at
Everybody
all.
wants to kill this motherfucker.
And I mean,
No.
yeah, everybody didn't want to kill that motherfucker. I imagine.
Well, I mean, goddamn, he's a fucking punk.
Yeah.
Straight
Imagine
up punk.
the notoriety, too. You'd be like, I fucking smoked Manson.
Well, and that's the way it was with fucking Tex Watson. Because I went to a medical facility for knee surgery, and they had Tex Watson there. And fucking Tex ratted me out. But he had a fucking bounty on his head, man. $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
from a family that's coffee family.
Oh, okay.
No,
Fair
no,
enough. I can put that
Can you
together.
figure that out?
Yeah, I can totally figure that out. And I can see that, too. I can totally see that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
they had an open fucking thing on him.
Oh, shit. That's crazy.
But nobody made a move on him. I mean, shit. Fuck. What are you gonna do? Am I gonna get paid?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Good luck. You might not. You might just have an enhancement now.
Yeah, you're fucking
Like,
taking him
yeah.
down, and then you're waiting on your fucking $1 million, and now you're gonna do the rest of your life in prison
Right.
in a fucking shoe unit, which is segregated housing unit.
And that's 23 hours a day.
That's-
Were you ever in the shoe or the hole? Is it
Yeah.
the
Oh,
hole
fuck.
and the shoe the same thing?
Well, I've had a shoe program, but I was in Blythe at the time, and the nearest shoe was like a fucking 12-hour bus ride. So they're like, fuck it, we're just going to leave you guys here. We had a riot, and they tried to pinpoint me as the fucking catalyst of fucking,
I can't imagine you being a catalyst, Steve.
you know. So I got a shoe program, you know. They're like, well, fuck, if we let you back out, shit's going to kick off again. So we're just going to keep
Can you explain the shoe? Like, what is it?
well, you're locked in a cell. Usually, I mean, it's 24 hours a day. Okay, but like every 2 or 3 days, you'll get to go to the yard, and when you go out to the yard, you get like 3-4 hours of yard time.
You did this?
Oh yeah, fuck, several times.
Oh, isn't that miserable?
You know,
You're just there
it's
alone.
all
with
part
your
of the fucking
thoughts.
program.
You're there alone, and it's just like you're your own worst
Well,
enemy.
you work out.
Oh, okay.
You have to fucking keep your brain, keep the endorphins going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're just
All
gonna fucking
mental.
rot inside your head.
All mental.
I was just watching a show, and I know
Yes,
I
yes.
hate
With
to,
the guy on the shoulders.
Yeah, I hate to compare TV to real life, but I do like to fact check it sometimes. So they brought them all out in the yard, and they're in separate cages, and they brought out all the white dudes at
Shot
once.
caller.
Yeah, and
Yes!
they're
Watch the movie.
and they're all exercising and calling
Yeah.
out and doing it in unison.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a great exercise program because like you better not fucking start slacking because it's gonna be bad.
Well, those are called dog runs.
Oh, okay.
They call them a dog run, and what happens is, whatever race you are, there's usually a mandatory workout. So when you're out in the cage, you're working out. And if you don't work out, you're going to be in the hat, which means you're up to get fucked up. They're going to do something to you when they can get their hands on you.
I saw the guy working out with another guy like on his shoulder just to add like that extra weight.
Yeah, I used to do squats with my cellie.
Fuck.
Is this the Sally we met?
Matt.
See, he would be a great guy to do squats with because he's stocky,
Yeah.
but he's small enough you can.
Yep.
That's good.
Well, we were on a lockdown for 6 months, locked in your cell. No showers, nothing. So you have to bird bath and you use your sink sitting on your toilet, and I banged on it, sorry.
That's all right.
And, but you want to work out. Fuck, you lay around in the cell for 6 months watching the fucking tube, and then next thing you know, you go out to the yard, and if shit kicks off again, which got you locked down for 6 months to begin with, you're going to be some fat out of shape motherfucker, got no wind. I was in a riot that lasted 30 minutes. You need wind.
Oh, that's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, and that type of situation is, you're engaged in battle for 5 minutes, and then the cops start shooting people.
With the beanbag?
Oh no, no.
There's no warning
Mini 14 or 9mm.
Is that like rubber bullets?
No, they'll shoot to kill.
They're billets.
They're shooting-
Corcoran shoots. They have a big fucking sign on the wall that says "No warning shots." Well, actually, it says "Warning." No warning shots.
That is your warning. That fucking sign is your warning.
Hold on a second. Let me just clear this up. During a riot, they will shoot to kill you.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Corcoran actually was under an investigation back in the 90s. I happened to be there in the prime time of the institution. They were gambling on dudes in the shoe units because you go to yards. So, it's real simple to confuse people, like a Crip and a Blood. Well, they're both black. We can send them to the yard together. And they would put them on the same yard. Well, as soon as it's fucking on site. So as soon as the cuffs are off, you go to war. You start fighting. And how they'll break it up is they'll shoot. But they gambled. They were gambling on who would win the fight.
Oh, shit.
And then when they would fucking...
Would they have money on the gamble?
Fucking cops were
Oh,
gambling.
shit.
They were gambling fucking house payments.
Oh,
I'm not talking $20 here or there.
16, 1800.
I'm talking fucking thousands of dollars.
holy shit.
Well, a motherfucking guard in California, and any of you prison guards out there, move to California, motherfuckers are making 6 figures a year. Yeah. And I would ask cops, I'd be like, dude, you fucking been doing this shit for what, 20 years? He's like, yeah, fuck it. I mean, why aren't you a sergeant? He goes, you don't get the overtime.
Yeah, they're making more money just collecting the overtime than.
And anytime you're locked down, they get fucking hazard pay because you're dangerous. So, But yeah, they were shooting dudes right there on the yard and in a riot. I mean, fuck, you know. And I'm not saying this just to sound fucking, you know, cool, but god damn it, every time somebody got shot, they were like right next to me, you know. And it was like, motherfucker.
I gotta quit doing this shit.
And I get more, yeah, you know, because you could hear that shit. Zing, you know, and you're like, and then next thing you know, dude's fucking on his back. And you're like, god damn, that shit was right, you know.
Fuck.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah, I've had some close ones.
Holy
All right,
fuck.
well-
Well, let's drink to that one because I'm glad that they
Definitely
missed Mr.
drink
Doobie
to
here,
that
man.
one, Mr. Doobie.
We're gonna eat-
Cheers that you're still alive. That sounds like a lot of
I
close calls,
honestly
man.
am very thankful.
But it wasn't like you're out, you know, selling drugs. You're doing something amazing. So
Well,
you got
yeah,
educated, you know.
now, you know, yeah. I just chose not to fucking waste my time. And dudes used to clown me, bro.
Yeah.
They'd be like, motherfucker, why are you wasting your time getting all this education? You're just going to die in prison. I'm like, one of these days, California's going to be overcrowded to the point where they're going to go, fuck it. Let's let some of these lifers out and see how
Right.
that works.
Wow.
And then not only that, you got that in your jacket to say, well, I've done this. When you go up in front of the board, you can say, I've got degrees. I've gone to school. I've done, you know, when everybody else
Well,
is
you can
just
go to the
around.
board with a file this thick with a bunch of bad shit in it. Or you can go to the fucking board with 2 fucking files this thick with fucking degrees, trades, you know, whatever, man.
Right.
You know, shit that you've done that's positive.
That's definitely the way to do
That's
it.
cool. Okay, so we just took our shot number 3. We're on to topic number 3. We're going to talk about the adjustment period. After that 27 years and 20 days, they open up those gates and out walks Mr. Stephen Duby, a free man. Now, how did that feel?
Well, I'm going to tell you that this will be a short topic. Seriously.
No, yeah.
Because, okay, before I went in, I was, I don't know, your average citizen. Okay. Sure, I drank, smoked a little weed every now and then, back when it wasn't legal, you know.
Yeah.
But I worked my ass off, you know. I paid my bills, had a checking account. I knew how to function in
Right.
the world. So the whole time you're in there, you can let the shit get to you, or you can keep it in your head. I'm not going to let it change me. I'm going to fucking change my spots while I'm here. I mean, if you're in a chicken coop, you don't want to go in there dressed as a wolf. So in prison, you play the game, hence the tattoos,
Right.
you know? So I played the game. But when I walked out, I said to myself, you're back in the world, man. You know? Now you got to start performing as a fucking normal person, you know, and do
it's,
the right thing.
It's obvious that, you know, just speaking about your tattoos, that was something that you clearly had the foresight to look at.
Yep.
Your neck's not tatted up, your face, your head, your hands. Fuck, you did 27 years. I'm more tattooed in visible places than you are. Not saying like that's cool, but what I'm saying is I didn't fucking think about that.
Right.
You knew one day, outside of the game, you're going to get out and you're still going to be 100% equitable to whatever it needs to be done.
Yep.
So that forethought was there, which I think is fucking cool.
Absolutely. I mean, I put on a long sleeve shirt, and people are like, "Are you a fucking banker? What's going on?" You know what I mean?
Because you're a stylish motherfucker, dude.
Well, thank you.
And you know what? I want you guys to know Steve came here today and he smells fucking good.
He does.
Did you smell him?
You smell kind of expensive.
That's pimp shit. What is that?
What is that
That's
cologne?
pimp.
I don't even know the fucking name of it, man.
Oh, you're
I
playing
just put shit
fucking
on,
good.
you
Did you
know.
You get it at Dylan.
Actually, that's my fucking natural odor.
He
That's what
smells
I
like
usually.
that. You want to smell when he takes a shit.
That's what I
There's
tell
Lucky
people.
Sally and all of the fucking California fucking system, man.
You know, people will go, "God damn, Jesus, you smell good. What is that?" I'm like, "Fuck, I just got done working out. What are you talking about?"
It's pheromones.
It's my fucking,
Pheromones.
it's my sweat.
Awesome.
So that's
go
cool.
ahead.
I feel like you have a really good head on your shoulders.
Well, let me tell you about the adjustment.
Okay.
Okay, honestly, probably the weirdest fucking thing was this motherfucker.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. Because like you're talking about pagers when you went in, right? And that was a fucking
The
technological.
technology. Wow.
Yeah.
So my friend Matt, okay, that you met, the little dude, we
Yeah.
were cellies,
Yeah.
he wasn't doing a life term, so I watched him parole. He paroled from the hole because we had a fucking big ass riot, and he was found not guilty out of 16 white dudes. I was the only one found guilty. but that's another episode. But
We'll get to that.
he and his girl picked me up. And we went to Walmart. I bought a fucking phone. And we sat in a hotel room the first night because I didn't have to check in with my PO till the day after I got out. And this motherfucker spent like 4 hours just trying to teach me how to. I mean, he's like, dude, just go ahead, turn it on. I'm like, oh, fuck, how do I do it? He's like, just fucking figure it out. Just turn it on. So I started fucking petting it real nice and talking to it.
Spitting on it.
Licking it a little. Motherfucker wasn't getting turned on. I thought, fuck it, I lost my touch. But, you know, he showed me how to work it, man. And now, you know, I'm sporting the fucking iPhone. You know what I mean?
He just sent me a video where he's transformed into a fucking leprechaun.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So he's definitely fully functional now.
Well, when you're single,
By the way,
that's all you got to do is play with your phone.
If you want to get it Doobie.
And yourself.
No.
Only twice a
We're,
day.
we're getting Doobie later. So if you're out here and if you want some Doobie, we're gonna put his
right here in the camera, Doobie.
Look, he's a beautiful man.
Look at the camera. Show me your face. Yeah.
He's got nice straight teeth. Yeah.
And my sweat smells expensive.
The motherfucker does smell good, but that's awesome. All right, man. So Steve, thank you so much. We're gonna do this again, and we're not gonna
Part 2, we're going to talk about the prison food. We're going to make NASCAR nachos. This is going to happen.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
Are we going to do the nachos on camera?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I'll get a fucking microwave, a hot plate over here, whatever you need. We'll make
All
it
I need is a trash
I
bag,
have
some
one
fucking
question.
nachos, chili beans,
I
and
have
some.
one
you know.
question.
easy. That's
So
easy.
where did you get the money to buy the phone when you were out and you were like, gonna get...
Well, California is such a wonderful fucking state. When you parole, it doesn't matter if you've been down for a year or 50 years, they're going to give you $200.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Yeah, you can really get set up on $200.
Yeah. So, fortunately enough, my mother had my grandmother had passed away and had left some money for me, you know, and don't let my uncle know that. But she had this money, so when I got out, she had sent me a few $100 plus my $200 gate money, and because I had to go to a fucking place that's transitional housing, and so you really didn't need money there, but I was able to buy some clothes, get my phone, and you know, kind of had a little head start.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, definitely. More
Way
than
cool.
just, deodorants and toothpaste. You're
Way
right.
cool.
Exactly.
Way cool.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. your
Episode
drink with us.
15. Thanks for
Yep,
joining us.
and we're going to have
guys.
Doobie back. And thank
Yes.
you once, Steve. Thank you.
No,
again.
thank
Two-part
you.
series with
We
Thank
love
you.
having
Steve
you
and
on
Doobie.
I appreciate you guys having me. I've been tired of watching all the other episodes. And,
Well, this one's
just
gonna be like when you're
fucking.
drinking
I
wine.
was yawning. Like, what the fuck?
I would do
you
so
know?
much better if I was on that fucking show right now.
Bro, it was like, what the fuck? Where's the shit in your pants? And, you know what I mean? What happened?
Oh, yeah. When we get to the next episode, we'll talk about prison wallets and the
prison wallet.
Oh, boy.
Prison wallet.
You
All
gotta
right,
keep it-
guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.